right, great people, what's going on? This your boy Hood. I'm hollering at y'all from the podcast right now. I want you to like and subscribe. Go on there, hit the notification button so I can get at you like this in the future when I do more videos. Happy holidays, happy New Year. Tomorrow is the New Year, so it's a great time for celebration. It's a great time for going after yours, starting anew. I'm about to work on this body, get this body more physically fit, strengthened up, work on this mind, get this mind more strengthened up, and I'm gonna be doing my thing real soon and real heavy. So I want y'all to continue to support me and watch me on this page right here, Hood Films. That's my actual page. I trademarked the word Hood Films because I wanted to stop it from anybody using it in the future without going through me. Because I had an idea that Hood Films is not being used in the film world. You know, people was turning their nose up to it like hood movies, hood films. Don't nobody want to see that stuff. And so I say, good. So I'll corner that market and I'll grab that niche and I'll make my own movies. And then when people look up and say hood films, it will be no longer associated with just making a movie in the hood. It'll also be associated with me, Yusef Hood, who make movies. So you can differentiate which one you want to see. You want to see the movies made by other people, other hood films, or you want to see the one that I made under hood films. So it was an interest. So it's almost like a genre / film producer connected as one. If you're new to my page, I do sip a little bit and I do puff a little bit. And why don't I do that away from the camera? Because it's actually who I am. I've been puffing marijuana since I was like 9 years old. I'm almost certain you were 9 years old in 1980. And, I guess it was 1982. So, and one of my favorite movies from 1982 was a movie called, damn, that's my teenager talking. You know, you can't stop a teenager from talking. They cuss your ass out. So I gotta just chill. But I do light up, because he ain't no little bitty teenager. He big enough to know the daddy smoke. Yo, but anyway, my new movie, Killer Rapper, is on my website. Go check it out. Go see my new movie. It's dope as hell. It's an hour long. I wrote and directed it, played the main character. It's such a dope movie. Edited, did the captions. I did everything on this movie like I do with all my films. But you're gonna like this, but it's hot. I got new brands I'm dropping all the time. CBD Film Festival. I got Hood the Filmmaker LLC, which is another derivative from my brands that I do here at Hood Films. I just keep myself busy with my own brands. Oh, and I own 100% of everything I make. That's not to say that in the future I won't sell something to somebody, because I will. But right now, I want to have ownership of my stuff because my name is on the ride. So the way the game goes is somebody will get you to sign your name away or your intellectual property away to them. They'll get the lion's share of the product. They'll get of what comes in. They'll get 80%, 90%, 70%. You'll get 30, 20, 10, and that'll be the deal. And then that thing happens in a word called perpetuity. Perpetuity is not on the front page of the contract normally. It's either in small letters or it's somewhere in the back, somewhere you don't feel like reading. You're probably a lawyer, don't even feel like reading back there. But perpetuity means forevermore. That means even if a Martian came and took Earth over and they reinvigorated this company, this world, and then said, okay, human copyrights are still okay. Them people who own them copyrights will continue to flourish in publishing. They own all your shit. They're going to be the ones who make the money. Your intellectual property, they're going to be the ones that benefit from it. So in that being said, you have to think about it. When you go inside Nike, do they let you own anything out of Nike? You have to pay for it, and then you leave and you own a small little portion and what they exactly told you can own. You don't get to own part of the building. You don't own part of the company. Even if you own a share, you own a portion of the shares. You don't own 50% of the shares. And why is it like that? Because when people find value in something that they create, the last thing they're going to do is sell it to somebody else. There's a story that's circling around the internet right now about how Amazon in 1999, they wanted to buy a website called diapers.com. But diapers.com didn't want to sell. So Amazon was building up. They had a name recognition at that point still, so they started pumping their diapers for cheaper, 30% off. Then they dropped that shit to 70% off. Then they went and opened up Amazon Mom. So that means you go on Amazon Mom, you get 50 to 60% off anything you buy, diapers included. So diapers.com got to looking around like, shit, we done missed like $100 million motherfucking dollars in sales because all our customers run to Amazon in just 3 months. What the hell are we gonna do? So they went back to Amazon and was like, what kind of deal y'all talking about? They sold diapers.com to Amazon for however much money, I can't remember exactly. Amazon kept the business alive for another 6 years, and then they closed diapers.com, and 200 and some people lost their job because Amazon is a big conglomerate. So the moral of that story is when you get in business, there's other people that'll be watching you, and they'll be ready to hostile takeover. They'll be ready to do whatever it takes to own what you create. So the things to do is to get the bang for the buck. Maybe they should have sold sooner, but they didn't know taxes that was gonna come behind Amazon, so they didn't sell. So they still got in and got in there and got enough money so that they could say, "Ooh, man, save the bell. We got some paper out of this shit." So that's a lot of times what business is, trying to get in there and make you some money from your thing so you can succeed for you and your family in perpetuity. So if a person come through and he buy up all the intellectual property from black people or whoever is the people selling it, in enough time, he'll own everything. And then when things start coming, the residual effects of it, or when the streaming come around, and nobody knew streaming was gonna come around in 1982, but now streaming is here and it looked like it's gonna be here to stay, who's gonna make the money from that? Not the person who sang the song, not the person who made the movie, not the person who created the intellectual property, the person who they signed it over to in perpetuity. So you got a person like Dave Chappelle right now mad as hell saying, hey, why the fuck did I sign my damn contract over to these people, man? That was dumb as fuck, man. Now they don't want to give it back to him. They looking at Dave Chappelle like, damn, tough cookie. And they looking at old girl like that, the one who Kanye got on the stage with. I can't remember the young girl name right now. She a white girl. They looking at, it's another guy that's doing that same situation right now where he's mad as hell. Kanye, Dave Chappelle. It's a few of them. So these contracts go in and people are not finna go back on them because you finally got an epiphany and said, I should have never signed this when I was 19. Because they fulfilled their end of the deal. The end of their deal was, here's this upfront money. I'm gonna give you 50,000. I'm gonna give you 100,000. I'm gonna give you 10,000. And then what you get at the end, you owe them. And the name that you built, the name that you was building, the name that you got tattooed on your body, you cannot use that shit unless they get a percentage of that shit forevermore. They happened to Dr. Dre when he signed on with NWA, and then he signed on with Death Row. Them people own his, every time he signed on, the people before him owned his motherfucking legacy. So, a portion of his legacy. So he went on to open his own thing, Aftermath, and try to pay back some of the bills and make new money. But he ended up bringing new artists out, and then he was the owner of them, and then he brought the headphones out. So he started being able to have a maneuver and finagle in business. Even your boy Jay-Z is trying to sell Tidal right now. So it's a lot of stuff going on in these industries, and being in tune and knowing what's going on is critical. That's what I do. I study. I've been studying music in the music industry and film in the film industry since I was a teenager. I worked at the Regal Theater, which is on Saturday nights in South Chicago and Stony Island in Chicago, Illinois. And that street is like a cross street, so you got about 3 or 4 streets, but it's right on 79th Street. I used to work there from the time I was 15 to the time I was 20 years old. The last day I worked there, I smoked some weed with Snoop Dogg and them in a dressing room, 1993. I probably was the first person in the world to smoke weed with them when they go on their tour, because they came from LA to Chicago to do a concert. And I met them, and I was talking to Daz and Corrupt and all them niggas and shit, just kicking it with them. Went up in the dressing room, smoked some weed. That dude was with them too, what's his name, Suge Knight. He was there, he had a red suit on. Little Half Dead was there. He was sitting next to me on a little, what they call that shit, inside the dressing room, the little table that they make up and do their makeup and shit on. So yeah, that was 1993. They built a little dog house on the stage for them to concert, do the show. It was the flyest night. But I was a teenager, I was 20 years old. I just turned 20. That was December 1993. If you know them personally, ask them if they could remember, because that's mad years ago, but I was 20. So it was a highlight of my life. There wasn't no cameras, there wasn't no cell phones back then. But I worked at the Regal Theater behind the scenes, so that's what I did. That was industry life for me as a teenager, so I didn't really chase celebrities and shit like that, because I saw them just kind of like moving around the theater. It was life. Most of the time they weren't performing singing songs. They was in there being actors. It plays. So that was just my life as a young man. And so I always stayed towards filmmaking and industry shit and just staying involved with it. You know, my whole life I made Common, Twister, you name it. Redman, I don't give a fuck who they are. Back then, if they came to the Riga Theater, I met them. Dawes Effects, you name it. It's just so crazy how many people came there. So I'm not gonna chase celebrities as I get older because I was around them all the time as a young teenager, just being in the room with them as they did that thing. And then the Riga Theater shut down. The building is still there, but it shut down after a while, like about 3 or 4 years after I left. And it ain't never been reinvigorated for like 25 years. It's still just a big ass building. Probably got rats this big sitting in that motherfucker. They tried to open it up once or twice, but it didn't last. You know, so that's just what it was. They did some concerts in there like around 2008, and I went up in there for a minute and did some filming. I think that little kid, Soldier Boy, was there at that time. This 2008. This mad years ago. So just part of my growing up as an artist. As I started in theater, I started writing plays and doing things like that and putting them on the best way I can. I used to put them on in my high school, my college, and then after a while doing plays, it was before the Tyler Perry era, so I was like, this shit hard. Because the theater, you had to pack that motherfucker. The Riga Theater was big, and they wouldn't even just rent it to me. They kept saying, go to the ETA Theater, which was like a smaller theater around the corner from my hood. And it was like, two things was going on at this time for me. You got the ETA Theater, which is on 76 in South Chicago, which is like around the corner from where I grew up at. And you got literally South Chicago, which is a street where the theater is, but it's like a long ass street. It stretches, well, my little section of the world, it stretches from 79th to 76, which is like a 3-block radius. Inside this 3-block radius, they always bring cars and motorcycles and shit. So it's like a White Castle on 79th Street. So every time when I was even a little kid, I'm talking about 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, all the grown motherfuckers used to go up there and kick it on the weekends with their cars and shit. I ain't got a fucking car, I'm a kid, so we just go up to White Castle, hang out. White Castle 24 hours. You out like, I ain't going to the house tonight, nigga, we out kicking it. You know, we did all kind of shit, just growing up, group of dudes and shit. So then as we got grown, getting cars and all that, you always knew that South Chicago was popping. It's always popping. There's everybody up there, the whole city came out. It was just a part of life. It never really even thought about that shit. It was just a part of life. It happened every single weekend since I was a little kid. So it never was nothing. I didn't even go to that shit really after a while because it was like I'm doing other things. I'm not standing around fucking South Chicago. But in my neighborhood, like if you walk outside my house, it'd be a ghost town. Nobody around that bitch. Not on the court, not on this corner, nowhere. You know, if it was beyond South Chicago doing whatever. And there was a park up there, so people be up there hanging at the park. You know, summertime shit. So make a long story short, the theater was right there, so I could go to the guy. I went to them. We don't front about this. I went to them, and I was like, yo, I want to put a play on up in here. And they was like, okay, cool. If you do, you got to work here first and do all this shit. I'm like, hell no. I'm a fucking artist, man. I just want to do a play. I don't want to work and do it. I'm working at the fucking Regal Theater. No. I just want to fucking, I wasn't working at the Regal. I want to just do a play. So they was like, come here, fuck with us. We'll talk about it. So they were kind of like, if you want to call it, the bougie African Americans. They were like black people who like, I'm gonna keep it 100, man. It's hot talk. They take showers every day. People hug them. They love themselves. So that's not the hood. These motherfuckers are just people who come here. They drive cars. They go in there. They like, you know, you can tell they got washed clothes and shit. You know, they were nice humans. And so I looked at them and was like, yeah, I'm gonna come do my play. But my shit is about the hood. It's about Tupac. And, you know, at that time, it was about Tupac because he had died. And I had wrote a play called Me and My Girlfriend. And I wanted to put the play on at this theater. So make a long story short, they was like, yeah, but you got to work here and all this bullshit, which I wasn't finna do. So time had passed, and then using South Chicago was the thing that I decided to do. So my buddy gave me his mother's old VHS thing. It was like a camera, but it took a VHS tape. It was an actual big ass VHS tape, went in there. So you could film it and then take the tape out and put it in the fucking VCR. So it was like, you can't beat this. So we took that motherfucker, we went out, we filmed this shit. Everybody came on South Chicago that night. Then they went up to Gold Blast. Gold Blast is like this old like warehouse that closed down. So it was on Stony Island, and it was a big ass open, you know, in the parking lot. It's there every year, but you know, niggas from the park, South Chicago just came up there that year, and they just filled that bitch up. Motherfuckers was stomping on top of cars and shit, stumping bitches from my high school. Everybody you know in the world was up in South Chicago every single day in the summertime. And so I filmed all that shit. We took that shit to the crib. We watched it for years. He gave the tape to one of his family members, and he's lost the tape. The camera that we was using, another one of his family members smoked it up. It was a crack. It was a crack around, and so it was like, damn, we had no camera no more. So a few more years went by. I couldn't get to no camera, and then finally I got to another camera around about '98 because I did the Olympics in '96 in Atlanta, and I saw a camera inside one of them rooms. It was like a window and shit, but it was a film camera. It was an exhibit. And it was like a ski exhibit. And it was an exhibit with the film camera filming somebody on a ski or some shit. But it was like in a window. And I was just walking around at the Olympics in Atlanta. And my cousin, she had a business in '96, and I was up there working with her. And I was like, oh my God, look at this camera. I'll never forget looking at that camera inside that room in 1996 at the Olympics in Atlanta. And I was like, I swear to God, I'm dedicating my life to filmmaking no matter what. I was 23. And then I got back to Chicago. Took off around about '98, and from '98 till today, I've never stopped filmmaking. I've never stopped making movies. I've never stopped trying to make movies since 1998. It was even probably before that, but at that point, I had got my hands on a camera, and it was my own camera, not somebody else's, and it was like, ain't no looking back. And I lost family members, I lost friendships. A lot of times, some people died along the way. But God kept me alive, and he kept me producing, he kept me creating, he kept me coming up with ways to make this brand expand and become bigger. Right now, my product is on Walmart.com. Can you imagine that? Somebody from the hood on the south side of Chicago, the black belt as they call it, who grew up listening to Knowledge of Self rap music with KRS-One and Public Enemy and X-Clan and all that shit, Poor Righteous Teachers. That was my sound. Brand Nubians, that's what I fucked with. You know, I was into that shit heavy. And I got with gangster rap too, don't get me wrong. Come on, Pocket Full of Stones, all the motherfucking, every fucking thing. I listen to everything. I'm just not just one sound kind of person. That's why after the hip hop show went off, I listened to jazz for 4 fucking hours. Jazz came on after the hip hop station at 4 a.m., then jazz came on from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. Every single fucking time. Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. That's what it did. And I bumped that shit. I listen to jazz every single morning. So that's why the album I got out is a jazz album, because that shit influenced me. And I got around people who, when I heard their sound, I was like, these guys can do this. They understand what I'm making, what I want to hear, and what I want to create, and they did it. There's 12 songs on there. You can look the shits up right now on any kind of platform that stream music. It's called Hood the Filmmaker Music, because I named my music part of my life after my filmmaking too, because filmmaking is my first love. So I named it Hood the Filmmaker Music. I don't know if filmmaking is my first love, because my first love was probably film, was probably music, because it was so much accessible. It was easy accessible, and you would hear it and just be like amazed. But after learning what black people had to go through to create the music and to get knowledge of self, and learning about how they created the sound from pressure and pain inside of America that was oppressive and tried to hurt them, and it's like, but they sound good. And love songs was big when I was a kid. They had a thing called Quiet Storm that would be on the radio. It would be like, Quiet Storm. And it literally would be like a storm sound. Like, whatever that shit's called. Thunder and lightning sound. And then they go into some smooth song from, I don't know, somebody from like fucking Phyllis Hyman or Luther Vandross. And so that would be on at the same time that the hip hop station would be playing. So you could choose. I would be bumping the hip hop, and then they would play heavy New York, heavy Chicago music, and I bump it all. I know a lot of hip hop sounds, I'm probably a hip hop historian. I know I'm a hip hop historian because I studied rap, man. I was at the Regal Theater, I studied it. If they had an Olympic rap knowledge battle, I'd probably be top 20 in that joint. Because I don't know how much somebody else would know around the world, but I know I would be at least top 20. If not in the world, it definitely in my state, because I definitely know a lot about hip hop, and I always use this as a part of my life. It really is a part of who I am as a man. I'm 47 years old today, but my art still is about hip hop. My movie, Killer Rapper, is 100% reflection of my life as what it was dealing with is seeing rappers get murdered, seeing that how it played out in the news, seeing how it played out in the community, seeing how it played out for that particular person and his music. If it lasted, what happened to them? They would always do this little thing once a year. They still do it probably. You probably will see this because it's the end of the year now, where they would say this artist made more music or made more money this year being dead. So it would be like I was always checking for Tupac at this time because I was a lot younger, but they would say Elvis Presley, whoever else, and then now Tupac name is up there. But then not only Tupac name is up there, now they got Michael Jackson name up there, and they probably gonna add Prince name up there. These artists, Kurt Cobain, that's who name got started up. When I became a grown man, he died when I was 20, 21. And so when he passed on, they was like, his name has been added on there for every year he dead. His album and his music has continued to make money. I think Biggie has been added to that thing. So it's just been something I paid attention to. And as a creative artist, that song I heard, which I told you in my last video from KRS-One, it inspired me to write the script and then do everything I could because the movie went to development hell for like about 7 to 8 years. And then I was able to kind of reinvigorate it and get it going and get a team behind me. So I want you guys to really enjoy what came out of it. And it's all what you could say it's a proof of concept. It could be done better, probably. It could be done with more money. It could be done with more, maybe a TV series or something like that, and all those things. But it's definitely something that I think should have been made. When I was a young guy, I think they had Boys in the Hood came out. I didn't get a chance to read the script, but right away they was giving this kid an Oscar nomination, and he was like 18 or 20 or something like that. And it was right away saying he came from USC, and they was like, this kid is finna get a motherfucking Oscar at motherfucking as a director. And then I was just like, wow, what the fuck? And he passed away recently, but that movie was really good, and it's an icon movie. And then the next kid who came out of USC, who just did a phenomenal movie, is the boy, I really don't remember this kid's name, but he made Black Panther. He's the director on Black Panther, and I think he may have did a Rocky movie. But if he didn't do a Rocky movie, he did Fruitvale Station. And so this kid is really good as a director. He came out of USC too, so I was like, Dad, the same that funnel coming from those people are making a lot of movement in the industry. So you know what I'm saying. So I pay attention to it. I try to watch a lot of movies. I try to do movie reviews and trailer reviews right here on my page. Coming to America is coming soon, and I'm gonna be definitely looking for that because I watched that as a kid. I try to talked about that on this page right here too. So that being said, man, I can talk to y'all forever, man. You already know that shit. I'm gonna let y'all get back to y'all life because I know y'all holding on to it like, damn, I can't just keep watching Hood. I gotta get back to it. I gotta go over there. So I'm gonna let y'all dive back into y'all life. But remember, this is Hood Films. This is my brand. I'm on Walmart.com. A little black dude like me is at Walmart.com. Go on there. Walmart.com. Put Hood Films in a search. This right. Could you imagine that? They got me in Hood Films. What the fuck? In Walmart, y'all. Go there. Buy something from me. Show some love. We gonna hit you with some fly gear, right? I got a dope ass print on demand company that's printing up my products, and they gonna ship it to you. Whew, straight official, straight looking fly. You gonna love it. You gonna be entertained. Continue to support your boy Hood Films. We podcasting our way through the rest of our life. I guess that's what it is. So I'm jump shotting that. For the rest of my life, we podcasting this game. That's what they doing. So that's what we on. And we're going to be doing this. You see, I got the background. I'll flick it around for y'all because I try to do a little something with it. You know what I'm saying? It might not be doing nothing too fly, but it'll be doing something on the future one. So like, subscribe, hit the bell button, holler at your boy in the future. I'm grateful for y'all watching me. Hit me in the comments, say something crazy, say something fun, and I'll respond back to you. Holler at your boy, Yusef, hoodfilms.com.